Hello, my loves. Tony here from TL Yarn Crafts, and the way I see it, the more baskets you have, the more crochet projects you can start. That's why I designed the Starlight basket, a crochet catch-all that's great for whips or whatever else you need to store. Join me for this start to finish tutorial and make one of your own. Be sure to follow along with the written pattern as we go. You can find a free pattern on my blog or get a printable ad-free version for $5 from my shop. Both are linked down in the description, and now let's talk materials. To make the Starlight basket, you only need a few supplies. Start with a category 6 super bulky weight yarn. Today I'm using Lion Brand's Woolies Thick and Quick, which is a blend of wool and acrylic. I'm using 2 skeins in the color Succulent. To make things easier for me, I like to turn my skeins into cakes. We're going to hold 2 strands of yarn together throughout this pattern, and turning this yarn into cakes means that it won't roll all over the place as we're working. To see how I cake my yarn, check out the video that just popped up in the corner. In addition to the yarn, we're going to need a 9mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, and a locking stitch marker. Start by grabbing a yarn tail from the inside and the outside of your ball, or if you're working from 2 balls together, grab 1 strand from each, and we're going to hold our yarn double throughout this entire pattern. First, we need to make a magic ring, and here's how I like to do mine. I'm going to place a pretty long tail over the palm of my hand just like this, and grab the 2 ends that are coming from the ball. Wrap it around my finger 2 times, 1 and 2. Then we're going to take the first strand, bring it over the second, then the second strand, and bring it up and off the tip of our finger. Pull both ends, and now when I pull the short ends, I have a magic ring. So I'm going to open up that magic ring a bit and flip this so my working yarn is coming from the left and my tails are on the right and my knot is at the top. Insert your hook, and I kind of push the knot to the back, bring the yarn over the top of my hook, and pull up the loop. And that completes our magic ring. Now from here, I need to chain 1, so yarn over my hook, pull through 1 loop to chain 1, and I need to place 8 half double crochet into my magic ring. So I'm going to pull these tails out the way so they don't confuse me. So I'm going to yarn over the back of my hook, dip down into the ring, yarn over the hook again, and pull up the loop. I now have 1, 2, 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Just like that. The first one's always a little tricky, but once you get past that, it gets a bit easier. So there's 1. Here's 2. Here's 3. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now you might be able to hear a bit of squeaking as I pull my stitches through, and that's because I'm making these stitches relatively tight. It's just the way that I like to crochet, but you can adjust your tension however feels most comfortable for you. Now that I have my 8 half double crochet, and we can do a quick count, I like to count the little loops here at the top. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I've got my tail here, and I'm going to pull that tail to pull the ring closed. Just like that. And from here, I'm going to continue working in a spiral. You can place your locking stitch marker here. I do have mine, but I'm going to leave it here for now because my tails are long enough to stand in as my marker. So I'm going to put these loops back on my hook, pull my working yarn, and I'm going to bring one of these strands through the front here to act as my stitch marker. So that completes round 1 of our basket. To move on to round 2, we need to place 2 half double crochet in each stitch. Yarn over and put 2 half double crochet into this next stitch. I'm inserting under the front and back loop of that stitch, just like that. Yarn over, pull up the loop, pull up the loop. There we go. Then I'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Then I need to place another half double crochet in that same stitch, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through all 3. So there's 2 half double crochet into that first stitch, and I'll need to do that for each stitch around. So now I've made it back around to my stitch marker. Remember that I placed this loop right before I made my first 2 stitches, so I know that this indicates the very beginning of my round. I just placed 2 half double crochet into the last stitch here, and I can give it a quick count to make sure I'm in the right place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now I can move that loop because I'm ready to start my next round. Bring one of my tails up and through and place it right there at the base of the last stitch that I made. So here I'm going to place 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. Here's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to place 1 half double crochet in the following stitch. Just like that. And I'm going to repeat that around, placing 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, 1 in the following, 2 in the next, 1 in the following, all the way around. So my next stitch gets 2 half double crochet. There's 1 and 2. Following stitch gets just 1 half double crochet. And just like that, we are back at our marker. But we can give that a count. We should have 24 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are on the right track. Let's keep going. I'll start by bringing my tail up, placing it at the base of the last stitch from my previous round, and now I can start my next round. So I'm going to place a half double crochet in this first stitch here, and from here I'm going to place 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. 2 half doubles here, 1 in each of the next, and we're going to repeat that around. So 2 half double crochet in this next stitch, there's 1 and 2, and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. There's 1 in that stitch and 1 in the following stitch. 2 going in this next stitch, there's 1, right back into the next stitch for 2, and then 1 here and 1 here. So here I am towards the end of my round. My stitch marker is here and I still have 2 stitches left. So for those last 2 stitches, I need to place 2 half double crochet here and 1 half double crochet here. So 2 in this next stitch, there's 1 and 2 and 1 in the following stitch. So now we can count these. At the end of this round, we should have 32 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, and 2. Wonderful. Let's move on to round 5. Moving our marker once again, we're going to place 2 half double crochet in this first stitch here, and then 1 half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So 2 here, then 1, 2, and 3, and we'll repeat that around. Yarn over the hook, 2 half double crochet in this first stitch. There's 1 and 2, and then half double crochet in each of the next 3. There's the second, and here's the third. 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. There's 1, back into the next stitch for 2, and then 1 in each of the next 3. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. 2 here, and 1 in each of the next 3. Increase here, so 2 stitches into the same stitch, and single crochet in and double, half double, goodness gracious, in each of the next 3. And there's 3. Right, at the end of this round, we should have 40 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40 right there. Now is a great time to maybe take a little break, drink some water, stretch your hands, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, before we go on to our next round. Now you may notice your work, just like mine, is cupping a little bit. That just means that we're working relatively tight stitches, which we are doing on purpose since we want to make a sturdy basket. Eventually we're going to flip this over and start working in this direction. So the fact that it's cupping in on itself here is not going to be a problem for us. Now let's move on to the last round of increases here on our base. So I'm going to move this marker one more time, placing it there at the base of my half double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Start with a yarn over, half double crochet 1, 2, and 3. So here's the first stitch, here's the second, and the third. And then we're going to put 2 half double crochet in the next stitch, and then half double crochet in each of the next 4, and we're going to do that 7 times. So 2 half double crochet here, there's 1 and 2, half double crochet in each of the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to do that 7 times. So that was once, here's 2, so 2 half double crochet here, and half double in each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2 half double crochet here, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just completed the 7th repeat of the 2 half double crochet and then 1 in each 4, and you'll notice that I still have 1, 2 stitches here. So I'm going to put 2 half double crochet in the next stitch and 1 half double crochet in the following stitch to finish the round. So here's 1 and 2 in that same stitch, 1 half double crochet in the following, and that ends the round. And like always, I'm going to do a count just to make sure I'm on the right track. I should have 48 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Perfect. So now we've finished all of the increases on our base. Now we'll start round 7 where we'll single crochet around, but where we place our hook is very important here. First thing I'm going to do is drop this marker. I'm no longer going to use my tails as markers anymore. I will need to use my actual locking stitch marker. I want to single crochet in the back loop and third loop of each stitch around. Now let me show you what I mean. So if we take a look, and I'm going to use my tapestry needle to help me out, we have 3 main loops on our stitches here. So I'm just going to work on this half double crochet right here. We have our front loop, and remember that each of our loops is held double, so we want to make sure we grab both. But we have our front loop, we have our back loop, and just behind our back loop we have a third loop to our half double crochet stitches. Front loop, back loop, third loop. We want to grab the back loop and the third loop for our single crochets. So for my next stitch here, I've got my front loop, back loop, and third loop. I'm going to insert my hook into the back loop and the third loop at the same time and complete a single crochet. So that would mean to yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. I am now going to mark that first stitch just so I don't lose it. And I like to put my marker through the front loops. So now, back loop, third loop, grab both, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through both. Back loop and third loop, and complete the single crochet. And we do this to give us a nice sturdy transition from the base to the sides, but also to give us a nice clean look on the outside of our basket. Just completing the single crochet as normal for each stitch around. Now when I come to the end of my round, I know I've completed it when I put my single crochet in the stitch before my marked stitch. There's my marked stitch, so I have one more half double crochet. So I need to grab that back loop and the third loop and complete my single crochet here. So you can see we now have this ridge, and that's what ends up being left over here on the actual basket. And now we can move on to round 8. Round 8 begins the actual stitch pattern for our basket. So at this point, I like to now flip over. So this was the front side that we've been working our half double crochets on. I'm going to flip and kind of fold that last round in, because now we can start working on the sides of our basket. Our stitch pattern is a waistcoat stitch. Our stitch pattern is a waistcoat stitch, which is really hard for me to say, followed by a single crochet in the back loop. So here's how we'll do it. I'm going to drop out my marker. Don't worry, it's coming back. And I'm going to do a waistcoat stitch. Waistcoat stitch. In this next stitch here. So if I look at the front of my stitch, I have a right leg and I have a left leg. I'm going to insert my hook between the 2 bars of that stitch to make my waistcoat stitch. So I'm going to shimmy my hook between, pushing towards the back of the work through the stitch. Now I'll yarn over, pull up the loop, and I do want to pull this loop up nice and high, up to the height of my previous loop. Then complete my single crochet by yarning over and pulling through 2. I'm going to put my marker on that stitch to indicate the first stitch of my round. Next, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop of this next stitch. So remember, front loop is here, back loop is here. I'm catching just the back loop, pushing my hook through the back loop, yarn over, pull up the loop, and complete the single crochet. So we're going to repeat those 2 stitches around, waistcoat stitch followed by a single crochet in the back loop. Next stitch here gets a waistcoat stitch. I'm pushing between the right and left bars of that stitch to the back, push, 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 yarn over, pull up nice and high, yarn over, pull through 2. Back loop of the next stitch, single crochet. Waistcoat, pull it up high, and complete the single crochet. Back loop, complete the single crochet. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. Now I'm back at the end of my round, and I have my marked stitch here, so I know I have one more single crochet in the back loop here, and that completes that first round. So we're going to repeat that round 7 more times. So waistcoat stitch, single crochet in the back loop, waistcoat, single in the back loop. We're always putting our waistcoat stitches into our waistcoat stitches, our back loop single crochets into our back loop singles. So here's our waistcoat stitch. It becomes a little bit easier to see. We're going to push between, yarn over, pull up the loop high. It makes a difference. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's try that again. An extra loop wanted to come with me. So there's our waistcoat stitch. You can see they're now stacking on top of each other. Single in the back loop. Waistcoat. Single in the back loop. Waistcoat. Single in the back loop. Oop, make sure I grab both of those loops and complete the single crochet. So we can see, if I kind of shape my basket a little bit, what's happening here. We have our nice base that we created, and now we're working up the sides, and we can see our pattern start emerging. So we want to have a total of 9 rounds above the ridge here. And join me back here where we'll work on the handles. So I'm stitching away here and I notice that I'm coming to the end. So I'm going to work my next single crochet in the back loop, and I like to add my new ball of yarn on my waistcoat stitch because it's going to be a bit less noticeable. Pull up the loop. I'm going to drop this old yarn inside of my project. I have my new skein ready to go. I'm going to leave myself a nice long tail, yarn over the hook, and pull through those last 2 loops. Now, I like to take my new tail, kind of put it off to the side, and I'm going to work over this tail to make sure it stays secure inside of my work. So when I insert my hook through the back loop of my next stitch for my single crochet through the back loop, I'm going to lay those 2 strands over the hook as well, yarn over and pull through and complete that single crochet, waistcoat stitch, pushing through the 2 bars and complete. Still making sure I pull that loop up nice and high. Single crochet through the back loop, waistcoat in the next stitch. And now it's just about done, so I'm going to leave that here and continue on in my pattern. I still have several rounds to go until my handles, and I'll meet you there. All right, honeybees, let's take a look here. So remember that my marked stitch here was the beginning of round 8. I have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is round 15, and this is where we're going to stop before we make the handles. So you'll notice that I have the beautiful waistcoat stitch pushing to the front of the work. The single crochet through the back loop is pushing to the back of the work and leaving these cute little loops in between my stitches, and that's exactly what I was going for. Here in round 16, we can start making our handles. Our first step here in round 16 is to work in pattern. So waistcoat 1, single crochet back loop 1, 3 times. So here's our first repeat. There's 1. Here's 2. And here's 3. And our next step is to waistcoat stitch in the next stitch. Get on in there. And we're going to follow that with a chain 9. So chain 9, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8, and 9. And next we're going to skip the next 7 stitches. So this is the waistcoat stitch we just completed. We'll skip the next 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So here's our next stitch. We're going to waistcoat stitch here. And your chain space should look like that. Single crochet in the next stitch. And before we make our next chain space, we need 8 repeats of our pattern. So there's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, 5, 6, here's 7, and 8. Okay, now we're going to follow that with a waistcoat stitch right here, just like that. Now we need to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, skipping 7 stitches here along the top row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And waistcoat stitch in the following stitch. So now we need to work in our pattern 5 times. So that's the first stitch of the first repeat. There's a second, so that counts as 1 repeat here. Here's 2. Here's 3. Here's 4. And 5. And what that does is bring us to the end of our round. And we know that because I still have my marked stitch here, and I can follow up that waistcoat stitch, letting me know that this is the first stitch of the round and I just completed the last stitch of the round. Now let's move on to our final round, round 17. For round 17, we're going to work in pattern until we get to our chain space. So we're going to waistcoat, single in the back loop, waistcoat, oop, go, single in the back loop, waistcoat, single in the back loop. Now we have a waistcoat stitch here before we get to our chain space. Now what I like to do, typically when I do my waistcoat stitch, I push to the left, but there is a little bar back here. So I'm going to actually push to the right this time, just to give me a nice stable stitch here at the base of my chain space. Just like that. Now I've reached my chain space. I'm going to place 11 single crochets into this space, and I'm really going to have to pack them in. So here we go. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, in tight, 10, and one more for 11. So that gives us a nice kind of ropey texture around the handles. They're nice and sturdy, and then we have those pretty loops here at the top. Now we need to work in pattern until we get to the next chain loop and do the same thing. So for this waistcoat stitch, I'm going to push to the left, complete that, and continue in pattern. So now I'm back towards my chain space. I'm going to work this waistcoat stitch. Again, there's the left loop, right loop, and there's a little bar in the middle. I'm going to push to the right of that bar to complete that waistcoat stitch, and then single crochet 11 into this chain space. And now from here, I'm going to work in my waistcoat stitch pattern 4 times. So first waistcoat stitch, I'm pushing to the left here. So that's 1. Here's 2. There's 3. And here's 4. So to end things off, I'm going to work that over these last 2 stitches of my round. I know that because my marker is here. I trace this up. This is the beginning of the round. That means I have 2 stitches left in this round. I'm going to place a waistcoat stitch in this next stitch. Now for this following stitch, I'm going to work in the back loop, but instead of a single crochet, which is a bit tall, I'm just going to work a slip stitch right here. And what that does is it's going to give me a smoother transition when I weave in this end from the end of this round to the beginning of this one. So I'm going to pull that loop up and fasten off. From here, I'm going to lift this loop up and out, pull it nice and tight, and grab my tapestry needle to weave in this end. And I am going to insert through the middle of this waistcoat stitch here and bring my yarn through. So you can see that it's not as drastic of a bump as if this was a single crochet going into this waistcoat stitch. And then I'm just going to go inside here and work under a few loops to weave in this end. Now I could drop out this locking stitch marker. Now is also a good time to weave in these ends. Thanks for checking out this tutorial for the Starlight basket. It's just one of dozens of patterns available from my channel. Click around and find something else you'll love. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching, and congrats to the Crochet Academy class of 2023. I am so proud of you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!